Well, moving right along, ladies and gentlemen, you heard the amazing Dwayne Chapman. Now we're going to shift gears, and this wonderful lady right here, she happens to be the significant other, the better half to all of our upline, the gentleman who is responsible for bringing us all together, a gentleman that I truly love and respect as well. He is a dear friend. He is a dear brother, but he is committed to blessing lives all across the world. And that's Mr. David Davidson's lovely wife, Mary Davidson. And I want to see if she's available right now. I'd love to kind of get her to share her story because she has an incredible story as well. So, Mary, if you're on the line with us, please press *6, or David, if you can, press *6 followed by the number 1.
Can you hear us, Don?
I just got it now.
Yes, awesome. David, I can hear you, sir. How you doing?
Okay, here's my wife.
He said, here's my wife. I love his introduction. She's so awesome. Mary, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I am so well. First of all, thank you so much for being part of Testimony Thursday, and we just want you to share with everyone how these products have been a blessing to you.
Well, about 2 years ago, it was like April of 2014, I went into the doctor for a routine physical, unbeknownst to me. I sit down, they take your blood pressure, and my blood pressure was 200 over 110. And that nurse left the room. 3 or 4 of them took it, and, that was, the best that they could get the whole time I was there was a 180 over 110. So she come in, and she goes, you have essential hypertension. You have to go on medication today. You have to get this under control. And so long and short of it, she put me on 2 blood pressure medications sitting in her office that day. I started taking a Losartan, 50 milligrams, and then altenolol, 25 milligrams, and that's what I was put on that day. I have a background in the medical field. I used to be a coronary care nurse, so, like I was taught, I went home and took the medication. But all my patients, my mother, everybody I've ever known that had been put on blood pressure medication in a short period of time say, these things make me feel terrible. Well, that was my experience also, and about 4 or 5 weeks in, I just felt awful. But the long and short of it is my blood pressure was still pretty erratic. I went back to the doctor, and she just wanted to increase the medication. And I was like, well, I haven't been on it long enough. I'm not really willing to increase it right now. So I come home after being out with my husband one day and feeling just really bad. And he said, you ought to look at that proarginine. So David had just been introduced to proarginine, and I had it sitting in the house. And I was like, well, I don't know. I went back I had to go back over to the doctor, pick up some lab work, and she said my vitamin D was really low. So I looked at the proarginine when I come home that night because David said it's got D in it. And, they wanted me to go on pharmaceutical D2, and D2 doesn't do very much for really getting your D levels up. So I thought, I'll start taking this proarginine since it's here. And so I started taking it initially as a source of vitamin D3 because there's a connection with vitamin D, low D3 or low D levels and hypertension. So I started taking that, lo and behold, in about a week, my blood pressure was really good. So I thought, if my blood pressure is this good on this stuff, I wonder if I could get off some of this medication. So I started off with the beta blocker that I was on. It was altenolol. Because I'm a runner, my heart rate is already low, and beta blockers cause your heart rate to go low. So I think that was part of why I was feeling so poorly. So I cut the pill in half, and I took it, a half for a week. And my blood pressure stayed good. So I was like, well, then I went every other day for a week, and then the last week I went every third day, and I was off of the altenolol. Blood pressures were great. And when I say great, my blood pressure was like 120s over 70s or 115 over 70s. So they were great. So I thought, well, I'll wait a week. I stayed just on the proarginine. And then I done the same thing with the second medication, and that's been over 2 years. I've been off of all blood pressure medication for 2 years. I took my blood pressure before this phone call. It was 114 over 77. So I normally take 2 scoops of Pro-Arginine in the morning, because if I take it later in the evening, because it has B vitamins and C and stuff, it gives me a lot of energy. And so I don't sleep as well if I take it in the evening, which is why I take it in the morning time. I also had been in a car wreck, David and I and my daughter had been in a car wreck so it was like September preceding this blood pressure problem. And so I herniated 4 discs in my neck and 2 in my lower back. And so, I was a slow-going person, I felt like I was going to live my life like an old person. You know, it was hard for me to get up and down. I was in chronic pain all the time. I was going to the chiropractor. You know, exercise was out of the question. And so as I started taking the Pro-Arginine, I started noticing that I'm getting up and down out of the chair better. You know, I can walk. I have more energy. So the additional benefit that I got from it was helping all of my joints and all of my back pain and my neck pain and my headaches from the car wreck. So that's been over 2 years now, almost 2.5. And this past April, I run a marathon or half marathon with my daughter. Because after about 6 months or so on the Pro-Arginine, I thought, well, I feel good enough to think I can get back to running. And so I did, and I've been running ever since. So for me, the Pro-Arginine has been a godsend because I take no medications at all, just the Pro-Arginine, and try to exercise, and that's what works for me. So anybody out there that has issues with their blood pressure, issues with chronic pain, I would say that they need to give Pro-Arginine a chance, because I noticed the blood pressure changes right away. Within about a week, my blood pressure was going down. But as I stayed on the Pro-Arginine, I just got more and more benefits from the injuries that I had sustained in the car wreck. So, are you guys still there?
Oh no, that was me gasping for air. I was sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm literally like in half tears listening to you, because it's such a blessing. I know I've had the privilege of listening to you before, but just like with Dwayne, not to this extent. But I want to ask you one question, because you gave us so much there, and I do appreciate you, Mary, for that. You talked about you're a medical professional, and coronary relates to the heart. That's big, and I want to make sure everybody gets that, okay? So here's someone who's educated and understands those things, but you also understood how the side effects of medication and what it could do, and now you saw how you've been able to wean yourself off of medication within a short period of time, one, because already who you were before, but also at the same time because of your understanding. How have you been feeling? Have any of those symptoms ever come back, or any of those things that you noticed before with the medication since you've been on Pro-Arginine?
Oh, no, none whatsoever. And one of the biggest reasons that it was important for me to get off of the medications is I lost my mom in 2008. We lost her pretty suddenly. She became a type 2 diabetic. She was hypertensive. She was on all this medication, and I'm pretty sure that we really lost her to her being over-medicated and having a drug interaction. With all my heart and all my knowledge that I have, I believe to this day that what actually killed my mother was a drug interaction. And so I didn't want to put my children through the same scenario. Like once you start taking medications, you go to the doctor, it's up, one day, then they just say, well, let's add this, let's add that. Because that's what they're really doing, is they're playing Russian roulette with people's lives. And they're trying to find a combination that will get you under control. I'm not saying that they're maliciously doing anything. That I don't believe. But I do believe that they are doing things by trial and error at our expense. So for me, it was very important to try to get myself off the medications. And since I've been on the Pro-Arginine, I haven't had anything but good benefits from it.
Wow, you are absolutely right. It reminds me of what you said, because it's so true. You know, when I got diagnosed with stage 2 hypertension back in October, you know, my blood pressure that day was similar to yours. Mine was 220 over 120. And, you know, I got asked all the immediate questions right away. You know, are you having any chest pain? Have you ever had a heart attack before? You ever had a stroke? I'm like, no, but if you keep talking to me this way, I'm about to have one. What's the problem? Mind you, they asked me all these questions before they told me the numbers. Once they told me the numbers, I used to be an ENT, I knew right away what that meant. I was a walking, talking corpse, you know, and it took them 6 weeks, Mary, to get the right combination of medication to get my blood pressure under order. So I truly was a guinea pig every week in and out, you know, blood work after blood work, you know, constant visits to the doctor's office. And, you know, if the medication itself, you know, doesn't take you out, which it is the number 4 killer in the world, the prices of some of these medications, if you're underinsured also. You know, I remember going to the pharmacy to get a generic drug, Mary, as one of the 3 that I was taking. And when I got there, they gave me a bill of like $750. And I was like, wait a minute, what are you giving me? You know, and then when they told me what it was, I said, do you know what I'm here for? And the lady said, yeah, you're here for medication. I said, yeah, but what type of medication am I here for? Yeah. She said, blood pressure medication. I said, what do you think that price just did to my pressure? Are you kidding me? Take that back. There's no way I'm paying that. I literally turned right back around, Mary. I drove right to my doctor's office. I was like, we need another one, because that is not working for me. I mean, that's a car payment. For some people, that's a mortgage. It's just absolutely insane.
Well, within the first week of being placed on the first 2 medications that she put me on, she had me come back in a week. And she wanted to increase both of them and add a third. And I refused to go up that quickly and to go on to a third one, because I already started feeling bad. So I was like, this is not a good road to go down. And, you know, like you said, they're sitting there telling you your blood pressure is in the stroke range, and then they're telling you have to add more and more medication. And for me, it just really wasn't working, because my blood pressure was pretty erratic. You know, they would drop down and then it would shoot back up. So I knew that I had to find a different alternative. And for me, Pro-Arginine is just, like I said, it's been absolute godsend for me, and I'll be on it for the rest of my life. Because if I come off of it, you know, we've run out of Pro-Arginine in the house one time, and I was off of it for about a week, and just as soon as I come off of it, you know, within a week, my blood pressure is climbing right back up. So for me, it's something essential. It's something I know that I need.
I'm only laughing because it happened to be too. And David, your husband, I love him so much. David said, D, you all right? You sound like you're going through withdrawals. I was like, man, I need my Pro-Arginine right now. So I totally understand where you're coming from, because, you know, you could feel the difference when that nitric oxide is in your system. But, Barry, I so appreciate you. I thank you for your eloquent presentation tonight. I thank you for sharing your personal story and also educating us, as well as you've let us know how this has personally impacted you. So thank you so much.
All righty. Thank you.